beginning of Parshat Behar deals with the laws of Shmitta, the laws of sabbatical year, the laws of Yovel. So at the end of the Parsha, it deals with helping those who are impoverished, not taking ribbis, not taking interest. I want to focus in on one of these psukim toward the end of the Parsha. Source number 1, Parakaf Hey, Pasuk Lamed Hey. If your brother becomes impoverished and his means falter in your proximity, you shall strengthen him, vechazak, postulate or resident, so that he can live with you. On this, our rabbis teach us, your fellow Jew has become to lose money, but has not yet become poor. It is your responsibility to slow his decline and help him regain his property. And the article Stone Chumash quotes Rav Soloveitchik, who speaks about that the teaching of Rashi is basic in the life of both the individual as well as the nation. It's much harder for someone to emerge from bankruptcy than for him to be helped before his business fails. Nevertheless, as the latter passage shows, no matter how low a person falls, his fellow Jews have the responsibility to help him. So too in the history of the nation. Though Israel has suffered countless reversals in its history, none of them is cause for despair. When the national destiny slides downward in one part of the world, Jews in a more secure place must step forward to help. And when all seems to be lost, it never is. Just as Hashem built worlds and destroyed them and built anew, so the Jewish nation has suffered appalling defeats, but always starts again and perseveres. I'd like to speak about this idea of helping somebody before they hit the bottom. Vechazak, strengthening a person, and as the mentioned, it includes the nation as well. But we're going to focus in on the individual today, Mirz Hashem. How to help somebody before they fall, helping the person when they're faltering, when they're wavering, at the beginning of the slide down. I'd like to try to define a little bit what this entails, and then deal with the psychological aspect of both the giver as well as the recipient. Then I'd like to take a look at this on a second level, what this is referring to, focus in on a couple of details, and again look at the psychological aspect, and conclude with even a third level of what this pasuk refers to. And I think very practically, it gives us an insight in what a helping hand is all about. We can begin our study with the Drash Mordechai, who points out in source number 3, why is this halacha of helping the ani, helping the poor, found right after Shmitta and Yovel? So he states very clearly, he says, the law of Shmitta is to teach a person, source 3, the law of Shmitta is about trusting in Hashem and recognizing that Hashem has the whole world and He takes care of all of its inhabitants, and that you can rely on Hashem. However, lest one use that when a poor person comes to them, that's when they're mistaken. Obviously, there's an inyan of bitachon. But when somebody poor comes and asks you for help, that's not the time to say, oh, trust in Hashem. That is then the time to say, you as the individual have the responsibility to help them. So Torah clearly says, yes, you need bitachon. But when it comes to helping others, don't try to use that line to try to then take away your own personal responsibility. And the language of Drash Mordechai, Hagashmi shel Hashem, the physicality, the physical needs of the other, Zaharuchniot sheli, it's my spiritual responsibility, and we need to understand this. Let's take a look at some of the technical aspects. Nir Uziel quotes Rashi, one man alone, the Medrash, is strong enough to prevent a heavy load from falling off a donkey's back. Once the load falls, however, even the combined strength of 5 men can lift it up. We learn that a precarious situation should be dealt with at an early stage to prevent disaster. Therefore, Torah warns, don't wait long before helping a fellow Jew whose financial situation is in decline. Extend a helping hand to him before he falls, because if someone's business begins to fail or if he loses a job and must rely on whatever money he might have saved to subsist, says in Ner Uziel, we feel sorry for him, but may tend to think, I'll wait a bit before helping him out. When he truly needs it, then my charity will be better spent. The Torah teaches us otherwise. It's a greater act of charity to prevent someone from becoming poor than to help one who is already poor. That's the chiddush of this pasuk. V'chazakta, strengthen him, help him, because once he's poor, it's much harder to lift him up, and there's so much psychological baggage that comes with it as well. It's so much harder to fix. Make sure you can step in before that eventuality happens. And therefore, Rabbi Pliskin, Love Thy Neighbor, notes, the Rambam writes that this verse refers to the highest level of charity, which is giving someone a present or loan, or taking him as a partner. If someone is out of work, it's a truly great mitzvah, says the Chavetz Chaim and Ahavas Chesed, to find him a job. Likewise, Chavetz Chaim writes, if someone needs to borrow money to start a business, it's a big act of kindness not to ask for it to be paid back all at once, but in slow amounts. And as well, if you speak Lashon Hara about someone, and this causes him to lose his means of support, you violate this commandment. And finally, he brings down in source 7, included in this commandment are instances when someone who does not want to take charity sells something that you really do not need, but you buy it just in order to give him